Sorry, it's okay.
Yeah. But it's a light tap, it's not a slam it down.
I
Get
didn't
in order.
practice that.
Wait.
Oh, you didn't.
Get your elbow going here.
I didn't practice that.
Okay, who's in shot of
Okay.
it?
I'd like to call the regular meeting of the City of Kewaunee Common Council to order. Let it show that it's 6 o'clock. This is November 13th, 2023. We need to do roll call. We are missing, the mayor is excused and
He's on his way. He's 2 minutes out. He texted you.
I said I
Okay.
don't have my phone with me.
Eric, here's Ronnie.
I'm a
okay,
good boy.
Eric will be here shortly with us. All right, let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance with a moment of prayer and meditation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now it's time for public comment. We invite people up. Let me remind you, it's 3 minutes per person. Please state your name. What?
Number 3.
Oh, approval of minutes. I skip that every time, sorry. I would like to entertain a motion at this time for approval of the minutes from October 9th, 2023 from the Common Council.
I so moved.
Janita,
Second with 2 corrections.
so I have a motion to approve the minutes and a second by Wendy and discussion.
Just two correction, or one correction, one request. I was looking on the website and there's no minutes on the website, no adopted minutes on the website since May. So, and they're just really helpful. So if you could, so that's one. And just a little thing on unfinished business, the date is June 16th, 0223. It's just a typo. If you could change that.
What is that?
Third line from the bottom on 7. June 16th, 0223. That's, I think, the wrong date. Other than that,
Okay,
I'm good.
so I have a motion to approve the minutes with 2 corrections. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, so now we're on public comment. Okay, we want to invite anybody from the public up, remind you, you have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address. Anybody interested? Come up and share your thoughts. Anybody interested in coming up to the podium to share your thoughts? Okay, we'll move on. The boards, commissions, committee and staff reports. Wendy,
I have a question. The TUG minutes are from December 10th, 2022.
that's what was submitted to me, yes.
Okay. Then I would move to approve them.
Okay, so a motion to approve, a second.
Second.
Okay, Jim, a second. I would like to ask, Augie, what is the monster muffin?
That's the new grinder.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. All right, so
I would like to point out in the tug minutes last year, we had 1,100 people tour the tug from all over the world. So I thought that was pretty cool. So anyway, that's just my 2
all right,
cents.
anybody else have any comments? No, there's a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Okay, mayor's report. I have here that Tommy Vogel is retiring from the fire department. He spent 19 years on our fire department. I think that's very admirable. The one thing about Kewaunee is we have some great volunteers and really appreciate Tommy for devoting that much of his life and to our fire department. So thank you. And I would say too, over the weekend, it was Veterans Day, and I also would like to thank all veterans. We have a number of them in our community. So moving along, unfinished business. It's unfinished. There is none, I guess. So new business. we would like to approve an agreement for assessment services with Accurate Appraisal LLC. I know I was privy to this information. Joanne said she had put out the RFP and that there was nobody who responded, and specifically, put it out a second time to certain entities, and Accurate Appraisal Services is the one that responded. And what's really cool is I went on their website, they have 2 videos that are like 3.5 minutes long. And one talks about assessors, why your city needs an assessor. And then it talks about their company also. And what they did recommend is for us to go with a 5-year blend with a portal service, which we can do online. The information, somebody fills out for a permit, it goes directly to the city and to their company, which is wonderful. And wanted to let everybody know, up until now, we're paying like 40,000 a year. So this would be quite a savings. And it appears to be a very professional company that we're dealing with, so. What?
I do have Chris Plowman.
Oh, great.
If you wanted
Okay.
to talk about.
Yeah, Chris, do you want to share anything or?
Yeah, for sure. So we really appreciate you guys kind of doing your due diligence and researching us and going online. I can tell you that we are going to be here for anything that you need. In the future as well, you'll have what's called an account coordinator. So you'll have one person to contact at our office. You don't have to try to contact 6 different people. And that's just to kind of keep that, similar to what you have, just kind of having one assessor on staff, but then also having the ability to have a bunch of people to help in the background with education. When we do the market update in 2025, making sure we have the capacity to get back to people on time. And then again, just making sure that we're communicating as much as we possibly can with your community about what happens during a market update and how the assessment process works. So we're here for any of you if you have questions. Obviously, once that market update is ready in 2025, it would probably be good for us to come back to another council meeting and kind of go over, what to expect, answer any questions that you guys have before, notices go out, so that when constituents get their information, you can answer their questions as well. So.
Chris, there is an error on page 6. It says
Yep.
January 23rd, and it should probably be 1/24 to 12/26.
Yep, I can make that adjustment and send that back over to Joanne. Yep.
Okay, otherwise, at this
I
point,
have one question.
okay.
Chris,
Sure.
on number 14, it says Accurate shall consider the market approach, income approach, cost approach. How would you determine that?
So usually we start with those in order, right? We're going to use market approach first. Usually that's for residential properties mostly. We will use that for some commercial properties. The income approach is really meant for larger commercial properties in the area. So anytime that we can take a look at their income and expense and kind of determine a value there. The cost approach is usually last. That's usually in determination of something like a new property or something that's completely outside of the normal approaches. So we'd go in that order first. And then if we have to work our way back and kind of explain the cost to people and how that process works, we could do that for every single property because that's part of our modeling system. So we would be able to show that all 3 of those phases for every single property that we assess for. We just use the market approach for residential, and then the other approaches for commercial mostly.
The income approach, would that be something you would ask for from them, or would that be something they would volunteer to you?
During a market update, what we do is we follow state guidelines and actually send out for all the commercial properties in the area. We'll send out an income and expense request. That just helps us kind of start from a clean slate, look at what that actual property is making for income and what the costs are. Because that's literally, if you're an investor, that's what you're going to look at if you were to purchase that property, which actually gives you probably a closer market value than just using the market approach, especially if there's not a lot of comparables to look at in that area. So does that answer your question?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Anything
Perfect.
else? Anybody else? Jim?
I move we approve the agreement for assessment service with Accurate Appraisal LLC to serve as the city assessor effective January 2024, subject to final review by the city attorney.
Okay, do we want to put the portal service included in the 5-year plan that they recommended? It's in there, okay. Okay, so I have a motion by Jim and a second by Jeff. Do we have to do
Well, you want to ask if there's any more discussion?
is there any more discussion?
And do we want to add a dollar amount onto that?
Well, that's what I had asked, and he said it was in the proposal.
$28,800
Okay,
is the amount.
okay.
And then we'll do.
Roll call.
Yep.
Roll call, yes.
John Blaha,
Yes.
Jim Brewster,
Aye.
Wendy Shelton,
Aye.
Janita Zimmerman,
Aye.
Robin Nelson,
Aye.
Jeff Conley.
Aye.
Eric Woznicki.
Aye.
Kathy Brown.
Yes.
And then you gotta.
It was a unanimous vote. You're hired, Chris.
Thank you. I'll make sure I'll get with my team. Tomorrow we'll get everything kind of started and then I'll work with Joanne to get the data transferred over. So.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, presentation of the 2023 CAPS program, proposed 2024 program and budget. I don't know if you looked over this, but they're offering great things to the kids this summer. It's really wonderful. Do we have someone here to talk about it? Okay, you come up with it this time?
Yeah. So my name is Katie Rabine. I have been doing the CAPS program since it started. So our first year, I want to say we had 35 children that have been enrolled, and then since then it just continues to grow. So parents are reaching out, you know, and their kids are in 4K already saying, hey, we want to make sure that we can be a part of it. This last year, you know, our budget, you know, as you see, it was a little different, because we had a big, let's say, graduating group basically. So you had a lot of kids that aged out this last year. And, you know, with that, I wasn't sure, because there's a cost difference for county versus city kids. And we had much more kids that participated this year that were part of the county instead of just the city. So we basically just threw that money back into our program. So we did trips that the kids typically wouldn't be able to do. And just, you know, added things that way. Yeah, I don't know if anyone has any questions.
I see that you're doing a woodworking program now
Yes.
too.
Yeah, so we're working with Andercraft,
Okay,
out of Michigan.
oh, cool.
So I mean, I know for sure we have one for birdhouses, but then we were looking at doing hopefully something there on site one day. So
Well, I think this is a great program. I guess if there are, you know, could I entertain a motion?
I move that we approve the funding request for the 2024 CAPS program by Holy Rosie Childcare in the amount of $10,975.42.
A second?
I'll second.
Oh,
She said it first.
okay. So I have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion, any questions?
Sounds like a great program.
great, thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'd
Yeah.
like to do it. Okay, so I'm calling for a roll call vote.
John Blaha,
Yes.
Jim Brewster.
Aye.
Wendy Shelton. Janita Zimmerman.
Aye.
Robin Nelson.
Aye.
Jeff Conley.
Aye.
Eric Woznicki.
Aye.
Kathy Brown.
Yes. Thank you. You're hired. Okay, we want to follow up discussion on senior center development project. Cindy Kane. Okay,
Good evening. My name is Cindy Tang, and I'm here to update you on the senior center preliminary plans and process I'm expecting this project to take. The council passed a resolution in August of this year, agreeing that the Marquette property was a possible location for a new senior center. Since then, I've hired David Robillard, a well-known and internationally recognized site planner, to help with locating the building on the site. And David has strong ties with Kewaunee, with both of his grandparents living here, Dwarfs and the Robles, and so he spent a lot of time in Kewaunee. He started out by visiting the site and the neighborhood many times to get a feel for the environment. Can we go to the next slide? So there's the site. He looked at the opportunities and constraints with the undeveloped site. And turning to the next slide. So next, he split it in quadrants, and the orange on the bottom is where he's suggesting the senior center be located. It's off of Dodge Street versus Milwaukee during, due to traffic constraints with seniors. He looked at the spot above it, which is sort of a salmon colored, as a future buildable area for a possible library. And then the two spots closest to Milwaukee Street would be green space or whatever the city would decide to use that for. He also shows arrows, which could be pedestrian access, and cornerstones on the two corners on Marquette to sort of anchor the site with maybe historic signs. The next slide. This slide shows the lot with the senior center in the number 1 box. The main entrance is 2 off of Dodge with diagonal parking along Dodge Street, because that's a wider street. I think it's 40 feet. And the seniors currently have the diagonal parking at the church, and that works out really well. Number 3 shows a covered drop-off drive-through with a driveway coming off Dodge Street and off Durrell, which works better for seniors. Also, he shows an outdoor patio, which would be number 6, off the back, which is a possibility. Community gardens, number 7. These are possible things, beyond the scope of the senior center, but it was sort of his vision of what could be here. A Pokeball or horseshoe. Corner markers, the walking paths and the bike trails. So do you want to go to the next slide, Joanne? Because then we'll add the library or another building that the city would choose to add. Number 9 is about a 7,000 square foot building, which was what I kind of estimated a possible library could be, or something else that the city might add. It would add another parking lot off Rose Street. Go to the next slide. So this shows a possible interior of the building. The dining area would hold about 60 people. The kitchen and storage would be what, the ADRC uses to serve congregate meals and the home delivered meals. There are a couple extra, rooms there for exercise, games, crafts, community. This is about 5,000 square feet. And the main entrance, comes off of Dodge with the carport entrance off of Durrell. Let me go to the next slide. Here's his thought about the possible exterior of the building. He suggested making it a 2-story so that it looked like it fits in the neighborhood. It's not a true 2-story, it's a vaulted ceiling to give it the vision of being bigger and taller than it is. And the vaulting would go over the dining room And it would have the windows high to let more light in. And his thought it would fit in the neighborhood better. He suggested brick with some limestone, you know, with a metal roof, which he thought would be very appropriate.
Can you go back one slide? That angle parking on Dodge, does that currently exist?
It does not.
No.
Nope. It does not. But I believe that that street is extra wide for the school buses.
It's 30, yeah, I think it's 39 feet.
So that would be something we would suggest. It has worked well at the Congregational Church for the seniors. They like it. It's an easy in, easy out. But these are just, you know, his vision of what it could be. Not an architect's drawing of what we are proposing, but these are, you know, this is his vision of what we're looking at.
Studies as to how many parking spots we probably need to have. To
Okay,
support.
so we would need to come to the planning and all of the committees and ask for guidance on this, because the rules say, I think, one parking spot for so many employees,
Mhm.
but you have very few employees here because you're looking at, you know, probably like one county employee as the mill site manager, so
Today where you're at, I mean, how many parking spots do you have now approximately for all of the seniors?
probably in front of the church, do you think there's 5 or 6?
Yeah.
7, and then in the driveway, there are a few, it's mostly, and a lot of street parking.
Okay.
The senior center before was at the second floor of the fire station, so there's a little parking lot there. I mean, we could count the number of spots that are there,
Just wondering how many total cars on average go there.
probably 20,
Okay.
15.
Okay.
No,
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah.
I think it's a nice,
yeah, I'm
A
very
nice plan.
impressed with David's vision, I mean, he's done lots of things around the world, and
trees.
you know, he's spending a lot of time looking at the neighborhood and getting the feel for us, so.
Very nicely done.
That's what it could be.
Mhm.
So next steps. The city needs to contact the DNR and discuss the future development of the senior center on the Marquette property. This is required according to the final CDBG grant report dated 7/6 of 2018. You know, we need to know what restrictions does the site have? Is it a clean site? Do we have a clean survey? You know, those sorts of questions. You know, need to be answered next. The other thing is, we've talked about a segregated account with the city and the contractors being paid from this account. The direction I'm getting is that the city doesn't want to manage the building of the senior center, but develop a relationship with a nonprofit. And the city have the nonprofit build it. Then when it's built, turn it over to the city once it's built. And that's been done before. And it, you know, it can work. A contract will need to be written between the city and the nonprofit, which public property and the city council would have to review for approval. So, you know, that's kind of the next step, is putting together a contract between probably Inspiring Community, which is the nonprofit I work with, and the city to define who does what and who has what responsibility. Then an architect would develop plans, and a contractor would give price estimates on construction. So after we have the plans, then the Planning Commission, Historic Preservation, Public Property, City Council, and the state would all need to approve the plans. So I mean, that's kind of how the process would work before we could proceed with anything. So, you know, I wanted to sort of agree with where we're going here. Okay, and to know where, for you guys to know where I am and what I'm planning on doing as a next step. So that kind of concludes my update for you and supporting the project.
Thank you.
Informative.
Yeah, thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Cindy or, oh, Kurt wants to speak. Okay, come on out.
Thank you, Cindy.
Yeah, I don't have,
Is this relative?
yes, this is relative to this project, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it is, and what I wanted to do, so I'm president of the Marquette Historic District, and the site's, of course, right in the middle of the historic district. And I just wanted to reiterate things I've said before, is that the historic district strongly supports this concept for the site. I think it's a really good fit. As I've said before, that property has been in the public domain for 150 years. You know, there was a school on the paved area, and that school was built in 1873, and before the school in 1914 was built. And, you know, I just think this is a really win-win situation all the way around. It's something the city needs. It's gonna be great for the seniors, and it fits in the historic district. And, you know, not just the historic district broadly, but the neighbors that immediately surround this, like the concept. And I think we're really fortunate to have Cindy involved in this. She's done projects like this. She knows what she's doing. And like I said, I just think it's a great opportunity. And thank the Smiths for the resources that they dedicated to doing this. So I just can't say enough good things about it. You know, the other thing I'd mention, you know, under the CDBG grant is we talked about, this is a project that can start within that 5-year window. There was provisions in the grant that said, only certain things can be started within 5 years after after grass was growing on the property, so to speak. And, so this is a project that can be started, although as Cindy pointed out, there's a lot of steps to get there, so ground might not even be broken until after the 5 years. I don't know, but it'd be great, you know, if it could happen or next summer if everybody gets lined up. But in any event, like I said, I just wanted to reiterate our strong support. Yeah, here.
I know that this historical district really wants something like this with the green space and the senior center. Does this historical district have any skin in the game as far as upkeep on all this green space, snow removal, lawn care,
Well,
anything like that? Because it doesn't benefit the rest of the city.
Yeah, so right now, you know, obviously the city owns the property, and what the city does with the other half of the space, we have some ideas for it. I mean, you know, if depending on what kind of happens, you know, we could get the garden club engaged as far as, you know, doing some kind of stuff in each of the corners, kind of anchoring, and we could put some plaques and things up like that. And, you know, as far as plowing or snow removal on the thing, I mean, we haven't talked about that, but I mean, you know, I know the city runs, you know, they're gonna run the whole, they've been running the whole block at this point. And so, you know,
It might just be an easier sell for us, to the rest of the city, if the historical district would step up and be willing to assume some of this responsibility.
well, I mean, we conceivably.
And it's just one person's opinion.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, these are all things that we can, you know, talk about.
Yeah,
you know,
we're
forward,
going
so.
into we're getting in the weeds here.
But in any event, so the bottom line is, we think this is really something
Yeah.
that can be done. And,
So, yeah,
makes
if you
sense.
wanna approach us and go further with this, we'll do this at another time, okay? Thank you for your input, yep. Okay, and thank you, Cindy, for presenting. Approve a bid for the Tug Ludington mooring bollard replacement project. This has been going on for a while. I think Brandon Stralo's here. Michaels came in with the low bid. We've had Michaels, they've done work on the lighthouse. They did the seawall, so we have past experience with them. They've done a really great job, you know, so, you have anything to say on this?
No, nothing really
Okay.
to add. Pete's agenda bill really described it well. You know, we had 3 bids. They were all responsible bidders, qualified contractors. Michaels came in with the lowest price for the project, and really the biggest pickup, which we called out, we got the job describing here too, is that with the DNR permit, they will only allow construction from June 15th until September 15th.
Mhm.
So we'd just be looking to award the contract basically at this point, and then things will be on standstill until we get to that time frame next year when we can go through with the project.
Okay. So. Can I,
So have they done something like this before?
Yes.
They have, okay,
Couple Michaels?
okay.
so can I entertain
That's
a motion?
I move we award the bid for mooring load replacement project to Michael's Construction Incorporated in the amount of $164,000 and $164,350.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, Janita, second. Could I have a roll call vote? Oh, wait, does anybody have any more discussion on this? Any questions? Anybody else? Okay, roll call vote, please.
John Blaha.
Yes.
Jim Brewster.
Aye.
Wendy Sheldon.
Aye.
Janita Zimmerman.
Aye.
Robin Nelson.
Aye.
Jeff Conley.
Aye.
Eric Woznicki.
Abstain.
Kathy Brown.
Yes. Motion carried, unanimous.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you
Yeah.
abstain, it goes with the majority vote.
Yeah, okay.
Hmm?
Okay,
If you abstain,
accept,
it goes.
adopt amended 2024-2028 capital improvement plan. Okay, so my understanding is the reason it's there is because we were required for a 20% match according to the HAP grant we were given. And we're putting this into the CIP so it can work for the loans we're potentially getting, as opposed to in the past, we were maybe doing it out of the general fund. If we amend
You have
this.
to find it out of the loan, out of the fund balance of the general fund. Now it allows you to utilize the loan proceeds to pay for the project instead. And we're funding it with a budget up to 60,000, but obviously with the grant and the project work, it's gonna come in under 60.
Right,
But it allows that funding to be used to pay for this project rather than having to use your general fund balance.
anybody have any questions about this? Can I entertain a motion? To approve this?
I move that we accept, adopt the amendment to the 2028 capital improvement plan.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a first and a second. We have to call the roll, please. Okay. All in favor? Oh, any discussion? Anybody?
Just so people know this, this is still dealing with the tug.
Right.
So
Right.
the moorings, so,
Anybody
all right,
else?
that's it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion. Okay, adopt the 2024 fee schedule for the city of Kewaunee. Okay, the PSC made recommendations for water and sewer to go up. That was included in the packet. The zoning changes went from, the variance and the appeals. It was normally $1,000. We're cutting it down to 500. Marina changes, 4% increase on campgrounds and the slips and 15% on the transients. We had 2 added inspection fees for water and sewer of $100 each. That was not in the packet, just so you know.
Well, they were on previous fee schedules, but somehow they got omitted from this.
Right,
year's.
this packet.
So we're just putting it back in.
Just want everybody to know those were the changes in the fees, okay?
Remind me one more again.
Okay, so the PSC made changes to the water fees.
Okay, that part I got.
Okay. Right, the zoning changes were for the variance and the appeals. Normally they were 1,000, we're cutting them to 500. Okay. The marina changes. The boat slips are going up 4% and the campground is going up 4%. The transient fees are going up 15%. Okay. And then the 2 added inspection fees that were added in other packets, but they weren't in this packet. Just then I thought I should just mention that. So that's $100 if you have a water inspection or a sewer inspection. so it's $100.
And they're now, and when you put them in the water sewer section.
Right, right. Okay, are there any questions or
I
anything
do,
else?
I have a couple questions.
Okay,
On the conditional use permit, I see before, from what I pulled up on the city website, the conditional use permit was $275. Now I see it's $1,000 plus review escrow. So am I to believe that when you go up from conditional use to where it says review escrows, that the $1,000 would be in addition? For example, it says 1 to 4 lots with new public infrastructure would be 500. I'm on the zoning fees. So am I to understand that the conditional use permit is now 1,000 plus, let's just take, for example, the 1 to 4 lots without new public infrastructure is 500. So now the conditional use would be 1,500? If you're adding in the escrow, it says 1,000 plus escrow, review escrow. So then 1 to 4 lots with new public infrastructures, 1,250. That fee would now be 2,250?
No,
Because that seems like an awful lot to me.
the review escrows that you're citing are for subdivision or plating, and then the other ones are for site plan applications. The review escrow for the public hearing was recommended at $500. However, I don't impose those fees at the moment because we don't actually have a code that says so. So you have a fee schedule that carves it out to do that, but we don't actually have a code that actually says so.
Okay, so what does the plus review escrow mean then exactly?
It would apply if you were actually going to recoup the cost for public hearings, which would pay for things like notices and the public hearing cost in the newspaper and posting and administrative time.
And what would that fee be?
Well, it varies depending on the type of request. Because these things require class 2 notice, they have to be posted twice, so we get held twice for every time we do a hearing. So depending on the cost, it can be anywhere from $150 to $200 just for that notice.
I guess I would have a problem because I think our conditional use permit before was $275.
Mhm.
So it's basically gonna go up to $1,000 now.
Mhm.
I would have a little bit of a problem with raising a fee almost 4 times what it was the prior year.
Well, actually, this is already on the books.
We changed this last year.
Okay, well, then it wasn't updated on the website because I pulled this off the website. Yeah. I pulled the fee schedule off the website today.
We're on the website.
okay. Oh. Are there any other questions? Excuse me, are there any other
So then it's
questions?
the wrong fee schedule? Did I print out the wrong one? This is the fee schedule.
I
It says
pulled
2020 unless there's 2 different. fee
Oh, that's-
schedules.
fee schedule 2023. There's another link.
There's a new website. Are you using the old website?
No, I'm using a new website. Unless I pulled up the wrong one, which is possible. I went under building inspection. Schedule.
Yeah, they got the 2021 up there.
No.
So that is incorrect.
There's another link on that website. For fee schedule. I think it's under government.
It's under community.
Community? Okay.
So you have it one
way on one way and one way on the.
Yeah.
There it is.
Okay, so that way. it's the fee schedule.
Okay, didn't know they buried that over on the building inspection.
Okay.
Okay,
There's no- no
well, good catch.
After what, it needs to be removed.
Hey, that's good.
Well, you gotta go.
Okay,
So wouldn't go to that one you went to first. It was more visible.
So do you have any more questions or?
No, I don't. I did. No, I don't.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, anybody else have any questions or? Can I entertain a motion to approve these fee changes?
I move we adopt the 2024 fee schedule with the 4 changes listed above with an effective date of January 1st, 2024.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approve the change order for number 2 for 2023 CDBG blight elimination, demolition and grading project in the amount of $6,989.60 for Peters Concrete.
Yeah, this is just the final changes that were done for the project to add some cost adjustments that were approved through the mayor and Public Works. Just some additional materials, mostly topsoil, seed erosion control matting and so on, just to add just a little bit of an extra to the cost.
So does this pretty much make that finished then?
Yeah, it's all done.
It's on,
This is just the paperwork after.
right,
This is just the final change out.
okay,
To add
so
that
we
additional
shouldn't be
cost.
getting any more.
This is the last
The next one is the last one.
cost.
The next.
Next one is the last.
Yeah, no, the next item is the last payment that you're gonna be approving.
Okay, so don't ask that again.
Okay, okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve change order number 2 in the amount of $6,989.60.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Wendy, okay, any other discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have to have a roll call. Call for a roll call.
John Blaha.
Sure.
Jim Brewster.
Aye.
Wendy Shelton.
Aye.
Janita Zimmerman.
Sure.
Robin Nelson.
Aye.
Jeff Conley.
Aye.
Eric Wisnicky.
Aye.
Kathy Brown.
Yes. Okay, moving on to authorized payment number 5 for 2023 CDBG blight elimination, demolition and grading project in the amount of $60,309.59. Peters Concrete. Wendy,
I move that we authorize payment number 5 to Peters Concrete in amount of $60,309.59.
thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Jeff? Okay, any further discussion? Any questions? Hearing none, I would ask for a roll call.
John Blaha.
Yeah.
Jim Brewster.
Aye.
Wendy Shelton.
Aye.
Janita Zimmerman.
Aye.
Robin Nelson.
Aye.
Jeff Conley.
Aye.
Eric Wisnicky.
Aye.
Kathy Brown.
Yes. Okay, review October 2020, motion passed. Review October 2023 invoice for services from Wisconsin Capital Solutions. Okay, when we took this on, we had agreed to 6 months. We have paid 1 month over. We got the invoice and on the finance committee, we looked at it and the invoice is just pretty much plain. It just says we owe this. We have heard nothing in the way of information. We do not know what they've done. And I guess Jeff had called and apparently they said that they had a big turnover in staff and, and that was the reasoning that we haven't heard anything. So after some discussion on the finance committee, we felt that maybe we should consider asking for a reimbursement. Definitely not play this, ask for more information. I don't know, that's where we kind of were at, right? So,
There's kind of 2 issues. One is that we've already paid one $4,000 above. And then we have an invoice for another $4,000.
right, and we have heard nothing. We've gotten no information on what they've done.
Explain what you mean by $4,000.
So it's $4,000 a month. We
Above the 6 months that we
We're
had
6
agreed
months, so
to.
we're actually on
8.
month 8 already.
So we paid 32,000 when we agreed to pay 28,000.
We didn't pay to 32.
we paid 28.
We paid 28.
But we agreed.
Oh,
We approved 24,000.
oh,
So we're
6 months times
2
8.
months over the 6
understand that.
months.
I understand that it was only a 6-month contract though.
Right.
If it was a 6-month contract, then why are we paying anything over and above the 6 month?
That's why
Should
we're
that
here.
not have come to the council first?
Well, it should have.
But it's here right now, and that's what we're discussing. Yeah, it's here now.
And quite frankly, when you fess up and say that you haven't done anything for us for months because you don't have the staff, I think we ought to reevaluate what we have paid already and get some reimbursement. I mean, that's a lot of money to be putting out and for them to actually
Jim,
I
say.
move we deny payment on invoice 1645 submitted by Wisconsin Capital Solutions, and we have the staff look into getting reimbursed for the additional payment that we made that was above
I'll second it.
contract.
I have a
Okay,
motion.
I'm a little bit confused here because I'm wondering, why did we pay it? Why did we pay the 7th month? If we got the bill, we paid for 6 months, correct? Okay, if the contract was 6 months and we paid for 6 months, why would we pay the 7th month and then go back and ask for reimbursement for the 7th month?
Because what happened is that the bill got forwarded to me from the mayor. I submitted it for payment. Then I started thinking about like what, like what the process was. I knew that there was a contract, there was a time limit. So we had already paid the bill. And then when I pulled the contract, I realized that we were already, we were only supposed to do 6 months and we had already just paid 7 months. So I brought it to,
The other problem is that this contract was supposed to run from July to December of last year. They ran, I think, all of 1 month and then we extended it out because there was nobody to lobby in session, so they waited. And then we resumed sometime in must have been February, March or something, in March. And so we got caught in the grind of, you're supposed to count down 6 months. Well, they weren't consecutive months. And so the hard part was trying to figure out where the start point was or the resumption point was and how much they'd done up to that point. So when we figured out what had happened, we'd already paid number 7. And so we said, oh, well, that's great. So
Well, let's not pay the 8th.
yeah, that's why we had to come to council, because there's no way we can pay number 8 without authorization. After having realized we'd already overpaid 7, so we'll be pursuing them to try and get money back.
Just a question.
Or having them show up here to tell us what they've been doing
Right.
on our behalf.
Well, I think that's
Well,
Wendy's.
So do we also pay them in July of 2022?
I have no idea.
I'd have to look back. I
I
didn't.
have to look back too, yeah.
I,
Can we look into that too? Because if we paid them 1 month,
well, I'm not entirely sure when that, I was before my time, so, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
I remember
if
that,
we actually-
I don't think we paid them because remember they said, we aren't doing anything, we're gonna wait until. We put up.
I don't think we did, but I will look into it.
Yeah, because they said, we aren't gonna do anything, we're not gonna take any money because at this time there isn't anything we
so.
can
I
do.
think so, but I'd
But
like to
I,
be sure.
yeah, I think we should check on it. I guess the thing is too, is there's some way we could maybe help draft a letter and because we need to get some information. I mean, we paid them for 6 months and we got nothing from them. So if there's, do you feel comfortable drafting a letter or maybe having somebody else?
Come here at our next meeting and explain it.
and I think that's what Jeff was.
Yeah, Jeff
encouraging
was.
Yeah,
talking
they're pretty
about-
reputable. I mean, we worked
Yeah.
with them, they're the ones that got us they were Arrowhead back then, but they're the ones that got us the grant for the seawall. I mean, they're a very reputable firm, so I'm not saying we should pay it them. Let's just saying, let's give them the benefit of the
Okay.
doubt and get some information from them.
Okay, so at this time, though, we have a motion on the table. Do you have any more that you want to say or?
Can that be amended that we don't get some explanation of what the
I-
source is?
Well, he
Yeah,
added
yeah,
that.
that-
He added that on, he added
That's in the motion.
contact.
Okay,
Can you make a motion to deny paying this bill? That's a negative motion.
Right, you can make a motion to withhold the invoice, payment of the invoice. So I guess that was gonna be my next comment, was that we cannot make a negative motion. So Jim, you wanna reword your motion to say that we're gonna withhold payment of the invoice?
I will
Until-
modify my motion to change the verbiage of I move to deny to I move to withhold payment at this time.
So why are we withholding?
Because you can't have a negative motion.
Okay,
Are you okay with that?
yeah, I'm good with that.
Accepted.
okay. Okay, so there's a motion
In a second,
and a second to
withhold the invoice payment.
So all in favor? Oh, do we have to, that's not, we're not spending money, so.
No, but you, yeah, I mean, if there's no more discussion, then. you
Right,
can
no
ask for
more
it.
discussion, anybody? Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion. Okay, approved date for fiscal year 2024 budget public hearing on November 30th, 2023 for 6 o'clock. We went through line by line on the budget. I want to thank
Worksheet, budget worksheet.
the worksheet. And I want to thank everybody who did that. It was staff, department heads, and the finance committee. It's not the most particularly
It was
joyful.
It was a great night.
It was great. Yeah, Wendy enjoyed it. Okay. Anybody have any? Anybody have any?
I
Yes,
have one thing,
Wendy.
and perhaps we should have talked about this last Tuesday, but the library being taken out of the general fund. I just have a bit of a problem with that. I don't think the library should be taken out of the general fund at this point, because at the August 9th library board meeting, there was some agreement that this would be possible in the future, but the Carol supervisor absolutely recommended, and she's very knowledgeable about this, that the library gets an MOU to be put together so that the city and the library would have clearly defined budgetary expectations on each side. So it seems that Carol has done the budget kind of like you would normally do it for the general fund. I would prefer that the library be put back into the general fund until we get the MOU squared away.
I know the library board discussed this in length. And we chose not to have the library taken out of the general fund at this point because we wanted that memorandum of understanding put out there first. So we discussed having it done for next year's budget. So we had time to bring it forward, discuss it, and figure out what our MOU was going to look like and say. So I agree with Wendy. It needs to be put back in. So
What was the purpose of taking it out in the first place?
I don't know.
The library board has exclusive control of the expenditure of all monies appropriated by the governing body or donated to the library. So when you put it in the general fund, they no longer have exclusive control
Okay, so if you take it out of the general fund,
and put it in
then
its
who
own separate
pays,
fund.
then who pays the employees? The city still pays them?
The city acts as the fiscal agent for the library.
Okay.
Under state law,
And is,
the library board has control over the funds for the library, but the city acts as their fiscal agent to actually do the.
and is there generally a fee to be a fiscal agent?
Not really, no.
That's why this needs to wait to be done for next year. So,
Well, then there's another problem.
okay,
When the county sends you a check for library funding, it's supposed to go to the library. Where are they supposed to put the funds? If you don't have a library fund, you have nowhere to put that money.
so we have a library fund and the general fund, correct?
The check must be deposited with the municipality in a fund under library board control. That is stipulated in state
So
law.
what do we do right now?
Right now,
Goes into the
we're
general
doing
fund.
something that's not supposed to be done. So putting it in the general fund, you're actually not following the law.
So it's been like that since the library's probably been in business. So
Well, at
whenever
least,
this law came about, we've been
1998.
breaking it.
yeah, you've been. As my understanding of the law is, it's been this way since 1998. Counties have been required to fund, but then the state law further says you're supposed to put it in a fund under direct library board control. And if you're putting it in the general fund, they no longer have control, direct control, because the general fund is under the control of the city council.
So at this point, the way we've been running it, technically, have they been overstepping and we've been,
You've had more, the council has had more theoretical control over what. The way it's supposed to work is library board presents a budget. They say we need this from the city. The city appropriates the money to the library board. It goes to the library fund and then they basically make all the decisions on their end in terms of what they spend the money on. You're not supposed to have any authority at all except for the appropriation of money from the city to the library.
So was there a grandfathered clause that
No,
the way it goes is
no,
it continues?
no.
Well, I still don't like this because we still need a memorandum of understanding.
So
and
the
we don't
issues are
have
like-
any
Well,
of
the
that.
the memorandum of understanding should also cover how you pay for the facility because theoretically the library is sitting in city-owned property.
Right,
Those are
that's
exactly
the
the
problem,
issues.
And,
yeah.
and those are the kinds of things you would iron out, including establishing some kind of a lease arrangement where they charge like a penny or whatever you want to charge.
So, but those are
So
things that
theoretically,
would be
it's a-
really nice before we move it.
Yeah,
Well,
There's just a lot of
I
unanswered
think,
questions.
I think it needs to continue as is. As far as the way it has operated, and then we get that memorandum of understanding.
It's not
Going.
knowingly breaking the law.
So if the city allocates the money to the library fund, then the employees would basically get paid out of the library fund.
that's the
Is
way,
that what you're saying?
that's what it's supposed to work.
That's the way it's supposed to work.
Yes. We ran into this problem with,
So they would make the decision then
we ran
on
into this.
salary?
Well,
Yes,
yes,
they
and
do.
that's, that they're supposed to. But that's the way it's supposed to be done. It's the library board is supposed to make decisions on salary, wage increases and so on. We ran into this problem earlier this year when they went to raise wages on a couple of their employees and they had to come through council because theoretically you're the fiscal agents because it's your fund, not theirs. So every time you do that, it's a double step on the way through.
Well, how quickly could we put together an MOU to straighten out these issues?
You have to tell me what the issues are so we can resolve them, all of them.
Well,
So
you
we can put
stated
them all in the
several of
MOU.
them, so that's a start.
Well, then we'd have to come up with a complete list so we can have them MOU done toot sweet. And that's another thing I get to do.
That's why we wanted to wait till next year to have this done, because there is a lot of things to iron out. So, and
It's up to you.
yeah, it is.
I guess I'm a little bit confused yet. So then who pays for the utilities, the insurance? Would that all come out of the library fund also?
Yes,
So basically what would happen is the city would allocate X amount of dollars. That money would go into the library fund.
Mhm.
And then the library board or whoever it was,
Mhm.
they basically spend that money in the city's.
that's right.
So it would still be considered a municipal library, correct? Cause if it's not,
Because you're funding the library, it's technically a city-owned, it's a city. It's a city-funded asset, but it's not directly funded by the city. And it's not directly operated by the city because that's the way the state law reads.
so if we got rid of the board, we could keep it in the general fund. The library board.
The state law requires the appointment of a public library board. So it's required. That's, yeah, statutory. So and I, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the state law doesn't allow the common council to decide it's the library board. That's, okay.
You choose your own library board.
Nope, mayoral appointments.
Oh, yeah.
So the mayor,
What about that?
School representative.
That sounds.
Mayoral appointments and a school representative is how the library board is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they have to be city, they have to be city.
That's how like
City
Scott Fritz is
residents,
on
yeah.
there, and
What's that?
that's how like Scott Fritz is on there, and
Scott Fritz is our school representative, so there's a school representative and a city council representative. And then all the other people in the mayoral.
I don't see how we're gonna get this resolved with the MOU in the time frame we need to have the budget done on time. So I think we need to proceed as we've formally done, but make sure it's a priority to get resolved for next year. That's my opinion. I just don't think that we're gonna be able to get through all the issues and. For
No.
2025, you're
I
talking
agree.
For this year, it's just not gonna be possible. Cause there's gonna be so much work just getting the budget done, and now all of a sudden we've got a whole bunch of other additional.
So
work
what
that
you're
has to
saying,
happen.
you're saying to,
We have to
leave
continue
it-
the way we are, unless the
Which is-
city attorney
okay.
tells us that,
Through 2024.
that we've got to address this
so you're saying keep the library in the general fund
for now.
for now.
That's
Okay.
my opinion.
That's,
Unless unless
Yeah,
the
I-
city attorney tells us that due to state law, we have to do this. And then this becomes a,
This should have
Fire
been
drill
brought up
that
for
has to-
discussion before it happened.
Yeah.
So.
yes.
But I
Well,
agree,
if
I
we've been
think
doing
it
it since
needs to be-
'98.
Well, so is somebody gonna call the state and say, hey, Kewaunee breaking the law because they're not going by state statute when it comes to the library? And then we're gonna have the FBI, the CIA and everybody else come down on
Okay,
us. so-
bring this back in.
I wasn't making.
He wasn't making a motion, I
Make your
think he
motion.
was just,
We need-
okay, the point was though, this whole, we went down this, but this was to determine a date for the fiscal year for the budget hearing. Now, is this going to affect that? If, no, we can still do, okay, so we need a motion to approve the date for the fiscal
I move
year.
we
really
set
don't
the
need a
date
Oh,
for
you
the
don't need a
2024
motion?
budget.
Okay,
public
we don't
hearing.
need a motion for
But
it.
we need to add the library back into it.
Well, it's there. It's just on a separate sheet.
Right.
So the numbers are there.
Well, it's there, but it's technically
it's gonna-
not in the general
Okay,
fund.
so. Okay. Explain what.
The library budget was moved onto a separate sheet. All I have to do is put those line items right back in.
It's on the last page.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's on the
I just
last
gotta
page.
move it back to
Yep,
that
yep.
underneath.
And Carol created her budget to, as if it.
All the
was-
accounts are there. I just have to make them active. You know, it's a check mark.
Well, and I guess from what I'm gathering is there's just certain details that we want to clarify and make sure, is that what you're saying? And that's what I'm understanding.
There's a lot of details that need to be clarified, so.
For the direction of what's going on. Okay, so,
I just need, in order for us to have a budget.
Yeah.
Passed before, so that the county gets their numbers and creates the tax bills. I have to send it to the paper. It has to be in the paper 15 days before the public hearing. So all I'm asking for is if November 30th will work for you guys to be here at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock on what day?
November 30th. It's a Thursday.
I can. Okay,
Do
do we have to ask everybody?
Well, I need a
You need a
quorum.
Okay,
It's six of you to be here.
okay, so can everybody, okay, I can do it.
I can do it.
Does someone make a motion?
We don't need a
Oh,
motion, we
I
just,
can do it, yes.
okay, so we're gonna definitely have a,
Great.
okay,
That's what I need.
Okay.
Thank you.
moving right along, okay, so let's. We can't move on, any further discussion there, or? Okay. Not hearing any, financial reports, month ending September 2023.
So from the finance committee's point of view, we discussed the Wisconsin Capital Solutions thing. Also, the water fund is lower than than I think it would be with the end of October numbers. They're at 60%, but you would think that they'd be closer to 75%.
Well, you have to
I
remember.
don't know, there's
we-
double bits.
When, when the
But
budget was
September it was
created,
50, now it's 60.
right, when the budget was created in at the end of 2022, we were working off of lower numbers. So those were the numbers that were used.
But the sewer is right on target. So that's the curious thing.
I guess because that's the only thing I can think of is because when, you know,
That's like when there's a,
I mean, the water utility rates are based on meter checks. So unless we're not doing the meter checks, which I can't imagine why Tony wouldn't be.
Tony's.
Yeah. So I mean, they're doing them all the time, so.
I just like curious that it's the word.
Check them, we double check them, triple check them.
Sewer's based off of that.
Yeah, so I don't know why we would be off.
Okay, so,
Well, we have that issue. I mean, right now we have like $200,000 that's owed to us just for this last billing.
And is that
There's
because
also
of
been certain
our
businesses that cut
increase
down their
with
uses
the
quite
fire?
substantially. So that could be refunded out of
That's
it.
just
I have to
normal.
look through the revenue side of it
Okay.
in the commercial
It
use
is.
department. For instance, while we're out
Okay.
there, cut down their usage
I
down-
feel
down
good.
downtown.
Nate's talking.
So how many, okay, so we,
That's a large.
real quick, we give them a notice of non-payment, right? And then we give them so many days to pay, so do we disconnect then, or do we just?
There hasn't been a solid process,
Okay,
probably since COVID.
okay,
So, we've been kind of, moving towards being more consistent
okay,
with the process.
good.
Okay, any other questions about the financial reports or anything? Any other input? Well, let's move along to announcements. Does anybody have an announcement?
The Public Property Committee fell on Thanksgiving, this month, so I put an email out if there's anything urgent that we had to get together. There was nothing that I got back that needed to be addressed this month, so, if anybody has anything with public property, that they wanted to talk to at the meeting, it's gonna be canceled for this month, shoot me an email. It should be the third Thursday of December. As usual, next month.
The Christmas parade is Friday.
Yeah, Chris
Okay.
Kendall starts
Sweet kids,
Friday and the Christmas stroll, so for the next 2 weekends. And then, also the, meal site at Congregational Church is open for anybody that would like to go. How much are the meals, Cindy? I don't remember off the top of my head. $4.75? Okay, so it's open to anybody that needs companionship and cards and whatever else. It's a good place to go for a meal, so that's all I got.
Is that like open like at certain days of the week or?
Monday through Friday,
5 days a week,
Okay.
you get your call a day in advance.
Anybody else? Any announcements? Yep.
Is the personnel committee meeting set up for tomorrow at 5:30?
Yes. The things, planning commission meeting scheduled for Thursday is canceled. And PSC scheduled our PFP docket public hearing for December 6th at 10 AM.
What is that?
10 AM.
What does that mean for us? Do we need to, is
What is
this just public hearing? Don't need a
That's-
form or anything
We
like
don't
that?
need to be there. Our consultant will be there on that issue.
Cool.
Right. Anything else? I adjourn this meeting.
I moved to adjourn.
I second.
I'll third it.
Okay, all in favor?